In this video I have an NV280 national video recorder, and I'm finally having a look at this thing because I'm trying to fix a NV870 and I want to see what the colour signal's actually meant to look like. So I did borrow this colour delay line out of this one, and it didn't fix the other one even though the signal seemed to be stopping dead there, but I wasn't sure if the signal was good. And it turns out it probably isn't if the colour delay line's stopping it. Even though it looks like there's the right amplitude, I'm not sure what the signal should look like, so we'll see what this machine's actually got wrong with it. Most likely needs new belts or something, because that's about all that used to go wrong with these things. A little slow to load there, but we'll try it with a dummy tape, because the idlers are pretty common for failing in these. And sure enough, not a single thing happening there. And the capstan's running. So you can see the capstan motor going, and it's running this big pulley here. That belt you can see was a bit lumpy, that is quite loose. That's the main loading one, so that runs all the gears, runs the master cam, puts the machine through all its different motions. Runs up these, well they've actually stuck up there by the look of it, the tape guides. If we turn it back on they should reset, but maybe not. Let's try ejecting. Okay, that's a problem. I didn't even notice that before. We've actually got tape guides loaded up. They should be quite tight in there, and they are. So they should not be loaded up like that. So maybe, and we've got of course the brake band felt is falling off, pretty common. So I'm guessing that the load motor is basically independent. It's got a separate motor. Later machines it runs off the master cam and all the main load motor. So it's quite likely this load motor part here, it seemed to be doing its little reset thing, but it doesn't seem to be going all the way. If I switch that on, is that the right button? I can't even see what I'm pressing here. Yeah. Well, it reset I think when I loaded the tape in, so it's something's going on. This time it actually unlaced the arm, so it hadn't done that last time. Now this could be because it's been sitting around for years and maybe the motor didn't, well it did seem to reset, but it didn't. I think when we load that tape in, that little up motor should just do a little back forward thing. If I'm not mistaken, these machines, yeah, this little, well it does something. Runs. That's interesting. Now I've stuffed up the load mech because I didn't put it in quite right. They don't always like loading upside down. So when I press play last time, let's try fast forward. It's running. Usually the case. Now I've actually got a reel, and we've got plenty of torque there, so maybe the idler isn't shot. So maybe things are just loosening up in here now. That's just the reel detector auto stop operating basically because nothing's turning, but no, it doesn't work in play mode. How's the idler? Maybe it isn't coming across. And now we've got, again it's turned off, so that's why they probably stay in that position. Well, it's gone into stop mode though. I would have thought that should unlace. Press stop. No, it's staying in that mode. Is that because we're not getting real pulses? Let's give it some real pulses by turning that. No, for some reason we're still stuck in that mode. Well, I can't say I've seen that one before in these machines, but they are getting old. Yeah, there's no motor rotation. It didn't, although I think that only happens when we do eject, doesn't it? Now they've gone back in. Well, pretty sure this machine doesn't have a half load operation. It's certainly acting like a modern machine that has the guides out. I'm pretty sure these should reset back though. Oh, now we've got at least take up reel in playback. It's working in rewind. The thing's gone back. Could be the mode switch or something. So it's slowly starting to work the more I use it. That's the main thing, that winds back, because the weakest thing is in play, and then when it delaces the tape basically and the guides come back, it's got to suck all that tape back into the cassette housing, and if this doesn't run, which if the idler's worn, it'll just won't have enough force enough torque to do it, it'll just slip instead. That's when you find you chew a tape, because the guides come back but the tape, just most of it will stay out, looped out there. So of course when you eject it, tape comes up, door shuts, and all the tape's hanging out and catches on the capstan tape guides and stuff. But this actually looks like it's probably safe to put a tape in. What is with this? There are safety catches, but that does not want to always catch. These test tapes are notorious for being a bit of a pain like that, but when you use them a lot you get used to it. But it's got to drop two little tabs, kind of child proof, so the kids can't put toast in there or something. Oh, I'm going to rest this tape, it's only a chewed one now. Anyway, something's making a funny noise on the head a bit, but we've got a colour picture and we've frozen. Something probably needs a clean there. So I basically went into pause. Goo all over it. Brilliant. That could be the pinch roller. It could be something else. If you take the brake off on these things, it's completely filthed it up. That's got oily stuff right across that bit of tape. I guess I should really try and wind it in the other way so that I can clean some of that off. This was always the death of your test tapes. That's why I used to just splice together tapes chewed in customer machines usually, because they always get destroyed by stuff like that and eventually get unusable because they've got patches of this stuff. Normally I wouldn't bother cleaning it off, but this one I might, just to be safe. But I did have a NV280, I think it was, the bigger, thicker version of these, similar mech to these. I think it was the hi-fi version of an NV370, which was a sort of, I guess about an 84, 85 era machine, somewhere around there. Maybe even a tad earlier. I think they were still using the top loader around 83. And you'd play a tape fine. As soon as you vision searched backwards, it would, I don't know if it clogged up the head or it definitely put oil on the tape, but it was actually the pinch roller had gone oily because the rubber had deteriorated in it. And this was a long time ago now, so it must have been the environmental conditions of that particular machine, but it was actually putting an oily muck on there on the tape, but only when you sort of vision searched it back did you notice. Obviously if you played that tape again from the beginning over that section you would have noticed too, but that was sort of the dead giveaway of what was going on, because the rubber does deteriorate on these things. But generally pinch rollers, and there's quite a bit of muck coming off the lower drum and stuff, so I'm not sure if that's all we got or whether we've got other issues. But sometimes it's muck on the lower drum. There is a strange white patch on the upper drum there, a bit of corrosion or something. But you do get muck sometimes on the lower drum. I should give all the guides a bit of a clean. Pinch roller looks to be in good condition. I might just give it a clean. In case it is a bit oily on the surface. Plenty of black coming off it, so that's not always a good sign. But it's actually surprisingly clean. Everything in here is quite clean. A little bit of stuff on the capstan, but nothing like they normally are. The pinch roller actually looks like it probably has been replaced because it doesn't have the usual patch of oxide on it. Has this dried off? Mostly, but I'll fast forward it a bit. Wait, I did not tell you to go into autoplay. Some of these machines do, I think, if there's no tab on the tape. Oh, we're frozen again. I would have thought we'd have lack of tension given that the band's loose, but at least we've got a colour signal. At least it doesn't look gooey at the moment. It's probably the back tension. We'll just loosen off the tension band a bit. It is actually pulled fairly hard, which normally they wouldn't be, but let's back that off a bit. See if we can get this thing at least playing. That's better. Still quite tight, but nothing wrong with that. That'll run fine, and it's actually a perfect picture. So that's the picture on it. Perfectly good. I haven't even touched the tracking because I can't even find it. Where is it? Over here on this one. Okay, giving this machine a bit of a run. Belts are just about stuffed in it. We're working pretty well with the loading belts getting pretty bad. The tension band keeps falling out. I put it back a couple of times because I was just dubbing some old adverts and stuff off some old videotapes to give it a bit of a test. It did play up again and start chewing a tape when I first tried this, and then it's been behaving itself pretty well since, other than it's having trouble ejecting. But that tension band's gonna have to be fixed, and normally you've got to let that, glue that and let it set. So we'll get in and do that as the first step on repairing this thing. So I have to remove the front and the bottom. I'll put the bottom back on it just for now. So get rid of that. Yeah, these have a little bit of a clip there. And just, yeah, whoops, I'll knock that one back on. Whoop. Gotta be careful because they will break off on these when they're this old. Often they're half snapped off already. We need to get this cassette housing out, and I think these are just 2 screws, plus an earth screw. Very nice machine to work on these, nice and simple. And I believe I've got the right belt kit for these, which is a VBK50. Which is one of the only belt kits I could actually remember, because I did quite a few of them. That and the Sharp VBK102 for the later VCA series seemed to be a common kit to order, but that's all that usually went wrong with these machines, was a belt kit and away they went again. Pull the plug there. Got to watch those earth wires flapping around. Get that screw out of there. It does not want to come out, that one. But what's happening is here the felt drops off, and then it starts pulling the tape down at the pinch roller and crunching the bottom of it, and you lose audio and lose tracking. Now that idler's been a little trooper, given it's all cracked. That's done really well. Now normally how you do these is to put a bit of a mark around that screw, so you don't have to really set the back tension again. This one I've already moved a bit, so it was a bit tight when I first started. It probably wants a really good clean of the lower drum and stuff will add a bit of tension. And you just undo that, that comes out. And it's simply a matter, where's my little felt pad gone? It's moved right around the wrong side here and fallen in behind there. You could buy new ones of these, but most of the time we just glued them back on with a bit of quick grip. Some sort of flexible glue will do the job. Put them back in, and you could fix it on the spot sort of thing rather than having to order one in. I think they were around $10 to $15 or something, so they weren't the cheapest for something that didn't need replacing, because that's all we had to do. Normally the felt's in mint condition like this one's not even dirty. These machines now, some of the Sharps used to get a bit dirty and stuff, some of the older machines, but these ones always seem to be pretty good. So if the felt's really worn or whatever, you might want to replace it, but generally in most of these machines they were fine. These Panasonic ones, or National Panasonic, never needed replacing that I can remember. I think I did some of the later, I think the G series had a plastic band for the back bend. I think I did see one snap once, which was probably some customer getting in there and forcing a tape out or something. I think that's the only brake band I saw in a Panasonic one that it needed replacing pretty much. But I do seem to remember one had the end broken off it. Not much you can do with that. So we'll get some of this glue out. And maybe I'll even do the belt kit while I'm at it, and then I can leave it overnight. I'll put it somewhere nice and warm because it's freezing here at the moment. It can sit in front of the wood heater tonight. And I think I know just run the glue down. I usually used to having a tube of the yellowy coloured glue, which is a bit easier to see. I think if you just put a nice thin smear, you can see on this old glue there's a little bit sticks out each end, but you can see the bit where the actual felt pads was stuck originally. It's probably not that critical, but you want to try and get it back into the same spot. Doesn't matter if the glue goes a little bit beyond the ends of it, as long as you get it at least as long as the bit you want to stick down. You want it pretty evenly attached. Glue feels a little weird. I think it's just the roughness of the old glue. Something doesn't feel quite right there. You can sort of see the copper normally is slightly different colour where the felt originally sat. I've gone a little bit too far that way. That's it. You can always rub your fingers down the side if you want to get rid of that, but it doesn't matter too much as long as there's not glue on the felt face. And you can put that back in there. I think we probably can in this case, as long as we don't touch it again. And you don't want to run the reel on it while it's still setting. But you should be able to just sit that, because it just sits between this metal thing and the face. As long as you're pretty sure there's nothing sticky on the front of it, because it will stick to the reel potentially if there is. And you just got to loop that in, get it in the right spot, sit there a little bit on the end. I'll just roughly locate that for now. It'll probably need a little bit of a tweak. Like I said, once I give this thing a proper clean, it may lose a bit of the extra tension it had before. I think you can see from the screw, because this one was right at one end, like about there. I can actually see this shiny spot on the plastic piece here where the screw's been screwed up against it. And I guess while I'm at it, if that is the right belt kit, what do we got? We've got one little belt there, one idler. Is there? Yeah, there is another idler in there. Another one that faces off against, and a capstan belt and a low belt. Let's see if that belt kit looks correct. Capstan load, yeah, I think it comes with a spare idler. I think they always had a spare, maybe certain machines had a different idler in them or something. Here's a little low belt. So I think that was a common thing. And just make a note of which one of these three this is on, which is on the furthest in one. And we can, I don't know if that spring actually has to come out. I think it can just stay there. One little plastic split clip on here. There's the split in it. Where's the other side of it? Oops, oh, they come off. Try not to flick it across the room or anything. You've got to be careful to hold on to those. And simple as pulling that off, find which one's the same. Looks like it's that thinner one in this one. Yeah, that's the same sort of thickness as that one. And just a matter of stretching it back into the plastic slot. Again, make sure we don't have oily fingers and stuff, greasy fingers when you're doing this, or give everything a clean afterwards. Now, how do we get the capstan, the reel out of this, I mean? Is it under there? Yeah, it is under there. I think we've got to lift that whole assembly out. Been a while since I've done one, but I think we've got to circlip these, get these circlips out, Oh yeah, maybe you get the right size screwdriver. There you go, you can spread it with that. That's made for it, that little, what is it, a Stanley. Well done, Stanley, you made them perfect for that. Look at that, just takes them off. Brilliant. Wish I had them years ago. Would have been great for these machines. We've got to get these two brakes out of the way. That's one reason probably not to put the brake band back on. That one's under the other one, isn't it? Just to make it more difficult. Lift that up. And yeah, that's going to hit on this thing, I think. I think there's a neck. You can just jiggle it out, I think. Being careful not to damage our brake band with it. I'm not even sure you have to take that one off. I think we might even be able to get away without it. It'll come out with this out, but I think we can get this out without it. Yeah, that's probably all I did. Oh, I forgot to take the reel off the other side. Or the wheel off it. The pulley. Again, another split washer. I normally just find the split and then sort of prise it from the opposite side so it spreads apart. Come on. If I can get a grip of it. Like so. And what do we have to do here? I think that bit, has it actually clipped on? No, didn't think so. Washer. I thought we could get that. Looks like we're going to take the other one off as well. Like I say, it's been a while. I know these machines normally didn't take long to do. That's it. Sit the washer with that one, and then that should come off. Yeah, that's it. But you should do that bottom bit first, of course. And we've got to slide this piece off. That's the little wheel we're aiming for. So I believe that's another, have to be another split washer, wouldn't it? Yep, doesn't slide, so same story again. Yeah, that's the split. It's moved right around on me. Bit of a fiddly one to get out. Come on. There we go. Don't tell me you're going to take the other one out. No. Put that washer somewhere. I'll put it inside that idle wheel. And this is the same. I think you actually really need a screwdriver to get these carefully, making sure you don't break the top lip or anything. Some of these I think I used to just cut them with a, you can just chop them with a pair of side cutters, I think. So I think if you lift that up, again being careful with the plastic there not to cut that. Sometimes it's safer just to cut them rather than trying to peel them off what can be a bit of brittle old plastic, especially now that you can't get by them as easy as you used to, if at all. Squeeze that on there. I think that's pretty well lubricated by the look of it. Should really check the, yeah, that's pretty good. In theory I probably should change the grease, but this machine was pretty free, so I don't think she's got bad grease. I'm not sure if the Panasonics really get bad grease. Don't think they use the same company that Sharp and others use that seems to get really bad in newer machines than this. If these washers stay a little bit spread apart, like this one was a bit difficult to get out, you can just sort of squeeze them back into place. And that shouldn't go anywhere with all the other stuff that attaches on there below this anyway, but so I've left that in place. We should be able to just drop that back in and just lift that bit up a bit. There I go. I think you've got to go on that from that side. That's it. Now this thing that went in that hole there. Otherwise, it's not going to drop in. Coming out of there. Which way did that go? That way. Get that spring out of the way. That should go under the other one like that. Sitting on the reels. And I think you can normally just squeeze these back on. Pushing them on with your hand and just a pair of pliers. Normally just slide them back down. So if you don't have the proper tools, it's not a big problem. A lot of the time with circlip pliers you can't get them right down anyway, so that's kind of easy to put them on this way. Just making sure they still move, but you can push them down pretty tight on those. And that spring. Now what did I do with the... You've got to pull that out usually to fit over the thing. Trying to remember where you put things. Push that down until it's in, just make sure it's... The thing won't slide back up. I usually give them a little squeeze just to make sure. Now it's going to stay in there. Spring back on the most forward position. That wasn't quite sitting where it should. Let's slot into some bit of mechanical stuff underneath. And it wasn't that one first, it was this one. Again, checking the grease and stuff, but this looks fine. A little bit of dirty stuff there. That's got four little slots it's got to go into. Come on. Can just push them back on normally. And yeah, washer there between the two bits. And that we can probably just put back on because I'll give that a quick clean. Is everything sitting there right? Oh yeah, it pushes onto that clutch thing, I think. And that hadn't quite clicked into something. Sometimes you've got to spin them a bit to engage them if they feel like they're not sitting down enough. But we might as well get these other, well that one just pulls off. And chuck that away. Capstan, we've got to undo the bracket. And then I'll give all these pulleys a clean when I can get to this one. Look, we've got a moth in there, what the hell? Go away. That ain't your home. Probably hibernating for the winter, I think. And capstan belt. So just with a cotton bud. I always give these a quick clean out. Quite a bit of muck come off that. I might give it another go. It almost looks a bit like cigarette smoke or something. I think it's the rubber in the belts makes these things go yellow. This we're going to start moving the cam around and stuff, so we've got to be a little careful not to turn it too much. Not that it'll matter too much, it'll just reset itself, but don't want to try and wind the mech too far. Yeah, pretty dirty. Probably doesn't really matter, but I like to do it, and we've got, of course, a little belt for our loading mechanism. That pretty well finishes that belt kit off. Yeah, stay on there. Get the twists out of it. Yeah, I'm really not wanting to go on today. Hey, I did hear that was where's the brake in these? I think this has got a brake, much like the later G-Mex. Does it press on the top of the motor? But I can hear something making a bit of a whining noise. So I think there's a brake pad somewhere in here. Now the grease on that, oh yeah, beautiful, it's like new. So I don't think that was causing any issues. I'm not sure if this mech was just playing up because something to do with the slippy belts, because I only sort of did it when it was cold. Or it could be the mode switch. That mode switch probably is due for a cleaning. It's usually good practice to give them one if you can when you're servicing, especially the age of them now. But these are surprisingly resilient machine. I can't believe it actually ran, I don't know how long. I must have had it lying around for a few years now, and I can't remember where I got it from, but who knows when it was last used. And I guess while we got the load mech out, oh yeah, I was going to check the, what's making that noise. Did it have a top mounted one? I can't for the life of me remember. There's a brake somewhere. Oh yeah, that's it, I can see it. I think that's the beast. There's a black thing under the pinch roller, this arm that comes back here. Yeah, that's the one. It is a top mounted. Ha! The things you remember without knowing that you actually remember them, sort of thing. So I think you've got to take this whole bracket off, do we, to get it out. And the fact that I don't have any more felt material, I think someone suggested yeah, I don't think oh, you're going to take the pinch roller out, which we definitely don't want to do. I think someone suggested sand, a bit of sandpaper on them can take the sort of shiny surface off, which is probably a good idea. But we'll give this mech a quick clean. I've already cleaned the heads a couple of times, because one thing you find when you're messing around with old videotapes is you'll clog the heads up a few times. So since this thing was in pieces, I thought it's a perfect thing to use, because I've already got the top of it. Oh yeah, quite a bit coming off the lower drum there. That's amazingly dirty around that end. Some of it may be below the taper. God, it's still coming off. What the? So that could have added a bit of tension, but otherwise it seems to be like in mint condition. The surfaces on this drum are like new, because some of them get a bit corroded if they're left in less than ideal conditions. Give that little roller a clean. A lump of something there. Give those rollers a clean, and the rest of the guides. Back tension arm, control head, don't normally need to clean, but doesn't hurt to do it. And the capstan's amazingly clean in this thing, a couple of little blobs of stuff on the top. But again, because you've had your fingers and stuff in here, it's always good practice to clean everything. And I'm just spinning that capstan from below on the flywheel so I can get to all of it. One little blob there still, it hasn't come off. It can be quite hard to get off. It is kind of stainless steel stuff, so you can use a bit of scourer if they're super bad. Now the pinch roll will give a clean. Always best to check the condition of those, make sure the rubber isn't cracking. Often you can see it around the edges because the idler was very cracked. But the pinch roller looks mint in this thing. It's possibly been replaced at some stage, or it's just been in good conditions. I used to usually put a bit of lube on these two tracks, bit of grease where the tape guides go in, because they will sort of shudder a bit sometimes and make a bit of noise when they come back. Might even put a little bit than this. I nearly wasn't going to bother, but who knows what I'll do with this machine, whether I'll keep it. If I do pass it on to someone else, it'd be nice with all that sort of done. It may just end up a display piece, and doing all this is a waste of time, but I just bought another pack about 50 video cassettes off a lady who passed away. Obviously I didn't buy them off her, but off her niece or whatever. So that'll be interesting to go through and see if there's any interesting 90s sort of ads and stuff. I just went through about nearly 200 beta tapes from the same lady and found some nice old 80s stuff. Just local adverts and stuff, things that I haven't seen for a long time. So it's nice to salvage a bit of that stuff, and I think we've got to loosen this bit off. You can just pull the belt off there. You could even just cut that if you want to. Probably quicker, I guess. And I think, yeah, we just take this little clip, little white plastic clip. You just got to push on it, and that should lift out somehow. Yeah, just lifts up. Oops. And just, yeah, because it's got grease on the end, you've got to be a bit careful. That's already getting grease on it. Again, give that a clean on the piece here. Try not to move the mech around too much is usually best. Don't think it matters too much. Again, they normally just reset themselves, but and give the motor a spin. Motor feels is that a little tight maybe? I thought they were just a loose DC motor. Ooh, yeah, that one's a bit. I think that one might be a little tight. It's sort of, what's the date? 16th of July 85. So I just got that belt back on. No big deal. Clip back in place and then flick it on the motor end. And I think that's, oh, am I going to look at, let's see how much hassle it is. I think you have to loosen this bracket off, and I think it's got a connector on the underside, which I can't remember if that just is another, I could probably pull that one out. And probably need to pull the other one out. Is that all the screws that hold it? Oh, yeah, it's loose already. Pull this connector here. And yeah, it's definitely something. Oh, we've got this, it's holding all those cables. Oh, the fun you have, eh? And we've got, oh, that's wired to it, the dew sensor. Oh, you've got a couple of plugs. A couple, maybe more than a couple. Got a little red one, a little grey one. Oh, God. Yeah, I thought these were a little bit of a fiddly job. Back when I was last working on these, not that often that they did it, I don't think, but the fact that I can remember it's under the board, I think, do I need to get that out of there to make it easier? They're rather tight, these plugs. I don't think we can fit the pliers across them. Maybe we can. I probably should have left that screwed down first and done it. Usually the way. Sometimes you can use a pair of needle nose to just gently encourage it out. Sometimes you need to use a screwdriver or something. That's coming slowly. There we go. And there's that fourth plug there. We're getting, do we need to take the pinch roller out maybe? We're definitely going to have to, I think, pull all those wires out. That little plastic clip there. Come on. audio head and some other thing, more of the audio head I think. Oh, maybe we can tilt it out, that's good. Of course half the wires reinsert themselves. So that's the assembly, and that's a little felt pad, and yeah, it's gone very sort of black and shiny. Sometimes just fluffing them up with a screwdriver will do, but it's got a kind of, I don't know if that's a coating or something, or is it just worn felt paddy stuff. I can get that sort of blackened face off, it helps. I think a lot of it is like dusty stuff that's got sort of pulled into it and hardened up on it. I think sometimes a bit of metho on it will clean it off as well. Because yeah, who knows what that stuff is. But if you're getting back to the white material, it should be pretty close. Hopefully that'll be alright. I guess we can just put it in before assembling everything and just give the motor a run, see if it sounds better. I've got to lift it up and angle that behind and under the pinch roller sort of thing. And get those connectors down that hole. There we go. What's holding it now? Bits of wire and stuff in the way, I think. Where does it go? About there. Yeah, I've got to get those control head wires and stuff out of the way, I think. That's better. And where the bloody screws go? Maybe put both screws in, I think. So holding it down nice and tight. Where it's going to go on the motor. And oh yeah, run this reel's the way to do it. I can hear it scraping, but no whiny noise. So I think that's fixed. And I plug everything back together. At least they colour coded everything. There's that little 2-pin down there. There. And get the long one in. Just press on the circuit board when you do, so you don't risk breaking that at all. Go away, cord. And we'll get that plug in. The edge connector. Get all our wires. Well, they're pretty easy to poke in now. They just go straight in. Make sure they also are in the right sort of spot. I think that one went under there, did it? We'll soon find out, I guess. Done the belt on that. So this machine, and other than the glue setting, should be a goer. I used to usually give the cassette housing a bit of a dust out. Keeps the customer happy that way. Looks like you've actually been in there and done something, because they do collect a bit of dust in there, but it's only just looks a bit dirty, and that's about it normally. Sometimes you have to give them a proper clean because there's a bit of other stuff. Yeah, door's a little dirty. Sometimes it's nice to give them a quick bit of metho over them and clean all the fingerprints and stuff off, especially if there's any chance you've added any fingerprints while you're working on it. But normally you didn't actually touch the door flap. Oh, actually I've got to get the screw in first, probably. I can't plug that in first, I think. Got a fiddly on that one. After getting it in place and pushing it home, thread screws in there. And like I say, the mode switch may be a bit dicky in this, so maybe I should have a look at it. That one likes to drop down. Don't drop down there. Otherwise I can't really get the screw on it until I get the other one. Yeah, that's got that. We can put the front back on it. Don't need to worry about door flaps or anything on these earlier ones because they're on the cassette housing. Yeah, you can see the amount of tarnish on the mode switch there already. Usually it's fine under this screw. Not perfect, but not too bad. And they're basically only going one spot with that little metal bit slots into the... Oh, these are the glued together ones, I think, aren't they? Where are they? Well, no, I think these ones do clip apart. I must... Do they or don't they? God, I can't remember. Yeah, this has got the clip. There's a clip there and one each end, I think. So these aren't too bad to do. I think it was the sharp ones that look similar to this were the ones that were clipped together. You still got to be careful. Put a little bit of force to lift it. It's been so long, or do you press on that bit? Yeah, I think you got to prise it a bit harder to get that. God, been a while. It looks like, yeah, it's clipped under in those two bits there, I think, and plus the bit on the back. Don't think getting the back off helps to start it. I think that usually comes last. Just gotta be a bit careful. Pretty sure this bit bends out and it comes out, but that's the theory. You must have to bend it a fair way. The problem is you do it too much, you'll break the bloody thing. Oh, very good when they go in the factory. I might even give it a miss, unless I absolutely have to do it. It should pop up from the front. Okay, I might leave that for now. Get that back onto that metal slider and slide it roughly back so the screw sits in the same spot. Right there. If we plug that in, it should reset anything that's out of whack compared to where it should be. That'll do for now. I don't think I won't risk putting a tape in there. I'll just screw the front and everything back together, put it in front of the heater, let it dry out, and that should be a good working machine. Okay, I'll try it with a test tape. Make sure everything's running before we risk chewing anything. Take up reel, rewind, put it into play. Heaps of torque there. Make sure this thing winds the tape back in. The supply reel always should turn backwards because that's what stops it chewing. And that's all looking good. Try it with an actual tape. Seems to be running. Probably a little tight on the back tension, but yeah, it's a little bit too tight. Which is what I found when I first looked at this machine. So I might just loosen that off a little bit. Whoops, not that much. Ah, come on. About so I can just see the little gap there under the screw. Yeah, that's pretty much perfect, I think. Obviously don't put your fingers on any tapes that you care about, because that is on the face of the tape, but if you know what the back tension feels like, I can also test it with the back tension arm. If you push it inwards, as in slacken it off, you'll soon see the picture disappear, and if you push it back, you should be able to go back a bit without it stopping immediately. See the tape starts stopping there. Often they squeal and carry on a bit on the heads, or the lower drum as they drag across it. So I think this machine is good. At least it's ejecting again properly. Shouldn't have any issues with the back tension, which it was doing before, because it kept dropping out. But it was doing a few random things when you first loaded it up, but this started from cold, no problem. So I have to give it a bit of a test run just to make sure. But most likely I think the mode belt was sliding or slipping, the one that the main loading motor that goes and has a belt across to the master cam and all that. If they slip or anything, you can get all sorts of weird problems. I suspect that's what was going on, because I only did it when it was cold, and then it would get going. Often, sometimes belts will do intermittent things like that. Probably should just try the, this is only a short 30-minute tape, but we can try the rewind fast forward. It's not the quickest machine ever. And I haven't tested record on this thing, so you always test record as well. But I'll test that after. I just want to use this to transfer a few tapes at the moment, digitise a few old things. But that's basically all that's involved in giving one of these a quick service and belt change. So thanks for watching.